10 Old Country Music Stars Who Belong in a Mental Hospital. Welcome to our channel, TV Iconic Moments. Today's video will take you down a road few dare to travel, behind the rhinestones and cowboy boots, where the glitz fades and the chaos begins. These aren't just troubled artists, they're country legends whose behavior was so bizarre, so unsettling, some fans believe they belonged in a mental hospital. From public meltdowns to chilling obsessions, this list might forever change how you see your favorite country stars. Stick around, you won't believe number 1. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories from the dark side of country fame. Luke Albert Combs. Luke Combs never looked like someone on the edge. With a deep voice, a beer in hand, and a catalog of hits that define modern country radio, he seemed untouchable. But behind the fame, Luke was fighting a battle no chart position could fix. Born on March 2, 1990, Combs rose to fame with a raw, heartfelt sound that echoed through America from 2014 to 2019. His debut album This One's For You dominated the airwaves, and by 2019, his follow-up What You See Is What You Get cemented him as a country superstar. Yet, while his music topped charts, his mind spiraled. Luke later revealed he struggled with a rare form of OCD, purely obsessional, where intrusive thoughts gripped his every waking moment. "It felt like my world was falling apart for months," he admitted in a soul-bearing interview. Even in 2022, with the release of Growing Up, success didn't silence the inner chaos. But Luke refuses to be defined by his disorder. "I'm not afraid anymore," he said. "It doesn't last forever." His story is a reminder, even the strongest voices can shake and still sing through the storm. Luke Bell. Luke Bell was more than just another name in country music, he was a voice that seemed to echo from a bygone era. Born January 27, 1990, Luke had a rare gift, a haunting honky-tonk sound with an edge so unique Rolling Stone said it could summon the ghosts of country legends. In 2012, he packed up and moved to Austin, Texas, chasing his dream. There, he self-produced his debut album and followed it up with Don't Mind If I Do, funded entirely by fans through Kickstarter. By 2016, his third album and a soulful cover of John Lennon's Jealous Guy had many convinced he was on the verge of stardom. But behind the yodels and charm, Luke was quietly battling bipolar disorder. Treatments came and went, but nothing seemed to bring lasting peace. In August 2022, during a brief trip to Tucson, Arizona, Luke vanished without a trace. 9 days later, he was found dead, not far from where he disappeared. Though fentanyl was cited as the official cause, those closest to him believe the true culprit was the mental illness that haunted him. A brilliant artist lost not just to addiction, but to an inner war he never asked to fight. Chase Rice. There was a time when Chase Rice had the world at his feet. After nearly winning Survivor, Nicaragua in 2010, he took a leap of faith following the echo of his late father's words, "Anyone can play guitar, but people won't listen until you start singing." That advice lit a fire in him. His debut album Friday Nights and Sunday Mornings captured hearts and made it clear Chase was no ordinary artist. But just as his star began to rise, a silent storm took hold. Depression crept in like a shadow, threatening to undo everything. On one of his darkest nights, when the weight felt unbearable and escape seemed like the only option, something unexpected saved him. His loyal dog, sensing the pain, jumped into his lap, bringing a moment of stillness, a breath of hope. That moment became the heartbeat of a music video he later released. "I'm in the fight," Chase admitted. "Some days are worse than others, but I'm still here." Daily therapy sessions became his lifeline, helping him crawl out of that dark place. Today, he's not just singing, he's surviving, and telling his story one lyric at a time. John Osborne. John Osborne, one half of the Grammy-winning country duo Brothers Osborne, always seemed like the picture of confidence on stage. With his rugged charm and soulful guitar riffs, fans had no idea what was really going on behind the scenes. Born on April 27, 1982, in Maryland, John rose to stardom alongside his brother with hits like Stay a Little Longer. But fame came with a price. By 2019, the weight of success had begun to crush him. He couldn't sleep, his ears rang constantly, and anxiety wrapped around him like a vice. In a gut-wrenching interview, John opened up about how close he came to ending it all. "I didn't see a way out," he confessed. Everything felt hopeless. What saved him was the decision to seek help. That same year, he checked into an intensive therapy program that not only saved his life but reignited his love for music. John's honesty has since become a beacon for others battling mental health issues in silence. His journey is proof that even the brightest stars can be fighting their darkest battles and that healing is always possible with the right support. Shane Nicholson. There was a time when Shane Nicholson seemed untouchable. A master of melody with a voice full of quiet ache, he had the numbers, the awards, and the respect of the country music world. Born on June 4, 1976, in Australia, Shane's journey began as a teenager with the band Freak, later renamed Pretty Violet Stain. They won early praise, but when the group dissolved, Shane didn't crumble, he reinvented. Signing with East West in 2002, he released It's a Movie, and during those sessions, fate introduced him to fellow artist Casey Chambers. By 2006, Shane's solo star was rising with the song I Know What You Need cracking the charts. 11 albums and ARIA awards later, Shane seemed unstoppable. But behind the spotlight, darkness crept in. Depression hit him hard, so hard it tore apart his marriage and left him shattered. But instead of hiding, he wrote. From that pain came Hell Loose, a raw confession of a man scraping his way back from the edge. I cleared everything out, he said. New management, new team, I needed a clean slate. Shane didn't just rebuild his career. He rebuilt himself. James Edward Allen. Jimmy Allen's smile could light up a stage, but behind the charm was a storm few ever saw. Born on June 18, 1985, James Edward Allen burst onto the country music scene with undeniable energy and raw talent. In 2016, he landed a songwriting deal with Wide Open Music, and by 2017, after a standout performance, Stony Creek Records brought him on board. His debut EP featured the infectious Blue Jean Baby, quickly making waves on Spotify's viral chart. Then came Best Shot in 2018, a hit that climbed across the Hot Country Songs, Country Airplay, and Billboard Hot 100 charts. In 2021, he broke barriers as the first black solo male to win ACM's New Male Artist of the Year, sharing the stage with Brad Paisley in a historic performance. But away from the spotlight, Allen was battling demons. Diagnosed early with bipolar disorder and anxiety, he carried invisible wounds. I smile for the cameras, he once said, but inside, I'm broken. I'm barely holding on. Yet, Jimmy remains a beacon of hope. His message is simple but powerful, it's okay to not be okay. You're never alone. Troy Cassar-Daley. Troy Cassar-Daley once said, if you can't turn emotion into music, maybe you're in the wrong game. And for him, that emotion ran deep. Born on May 18, 1969, the Australian country star got his start at just 16, strumming with a local band called Little Eagle. By 1986, he had already won his search for a star, setting the stage for a solo journey that took flight with his 1994 debut single Dream Out Loud. The song soared to number 1 on Australia's country charts and paved the way for his award-winning first album, Beyond the Dancing. But behind the success was heartache. His Maltese father, after suffering a debilitating stroke, died by suicide, a loss that nearly broke Troy. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, it compounded his grief, no tours, no live shows, and a growing emotional distance even from his wife, radio host Laurel Edwards. Troy found himself spiraling until he did the one thing he'd always known, he wrote music. Pouring his pain into song became his lifeline. It didn't erase the darkness, but it gave it a melody. And through that, he slowly found his way back to the light. Chase Spencer Yacklin. There was a time when Chase Bryant seemed to have it all: talent, charm, and a rocket-powered start in country music. Born Chase Spencer Yacklin on October 9, 1992, he carried music in his blood. His grandfather, Jimmy Bryant, once played alongside Roy Orbison, and Chase followed in those legendary footsteps with heart and grit. By 2013, he'd signed with Red Bow Records, and just a year later, his debut single Take It On Back hit the Billboard Country Airplay Top 10. That momentum kept building with Little Bit of You and a spot on tours with Brantley Gilbert and Tim McGraw. But while the world saw a rising star, Chase was battling demons no spotlight could reach. Behind the scenes, anxiety and depression tightened their grip. In 2018, that inner torment almost became deadly. In a heartbreaking moment, Chase recalls crying out, begging for anyone, to listen. He screamed one word, "sorry," and pulled the trigger. Miraculously, he survived. That moment became a turning point. He began to confront the pain, unpack the trauma, and seek help. In an interview, Chase shared that it wasn't until 2016, at the peak of his early success, that he realized he wasn't living as himself. He found solace and strength in his faith in God, a journey that helped pull him back from the edge. Today, Chase Bryant is more than a country star. He's a beacon for those battling invisible struggles. He speaks out about mental health with brutal honesty, offering hope to those who feel forgotten. His story reminds us all, behind the music, behind the fame, there's a human just trying to hold on. Kelsey Nicole Ballerini. From the outside, Kelsey Ballerini seemed like the picture of success. A Grammy-nominated country star, an award-winning songwriter, and a radiant performer. But behind the curtain, her story was shaped by quiet struggles. Born on September 12, 1993, Kelsey began writing songs as a child, perhaps as a way to make sense of the chaos she felt when her parents divorced at age 12. By the time she signed with Black River Entertainment in 2014, she was already seasoned in pain and performance. Her debut album The First Time and its follow-up Unapologetically launched 7 hits onto the country charts. The accolades rolled in: CMA Awards for Half of My Hometown, ACM's Milestone Award, Billboard's Rising Star. But through it all, therapy remained her constant. Not fame. Not applause. She once asked herself, what am I really chasing? Is missing my mom's birthday worth it? That reflection led her back to healing. In an interview, she admitted, I'm finally happy, and I know I'm the one in control of that happiness. These days, Kelsey lives her dream on stage, and finds peace in the little things, like coming home to her beloved dogs. Maren LeRae Morris. Maren Morris stood under the Toronto stage lights, opening for the Chicks, and for a moment, everything felt like a dream fulfilled. But what the crowd didn't see that night was the war she had quietly been waging inside. Born on April 10, 1990, in Arlington, Texas, Maren LeRae Morris had been singing since she could walk. Her childhood was spent performing anywhere she could at churches, coffee shops, county fairs. By her early 20s, she had self-released 3 albums before packing up for Nashville with nothing but grit and a voice that wouldn't be silenced. Her breakthrough came in 2015 with a self-produced EP that caught the ear of Columbia Nashville. A year later, her debut album Hero dropped, blending country roots with R&B soul. My Church exploded onto the scene, followed by hits like 80s Mercedes, I Could Use a Love Song, and Rich. The awards poured in: Grammys, CMAs, AMAs. She had made it. But behind the spotlight, Maren was falling apart. After the birth of her son, Hayes Andrew, she spiraled into a severe postpartum depression. I couldn't even string together a sentence, she later confessed on The Howard Stern Show. I felt like I was failing at everything, being a mom, being an artist, being me. She canceled shows. She pulled back from everything. The music that once lifted her now felt unreachable. It wasn't until she sought help and began medication that things slowly began to shift. Today, Maren speaks openly about that dark chapter, not for sympathy, but for solidarity. There's no shame in needing help, she said. I'm finally feeling like myself again. Mental health doesn't discriminate, even country music's biggest stars aren't immune. Behind the awards, chart toppers, and sold-out tours are human beings fighting silent battles we may never fully see. From Luke Combs to Maren Morris, each story reminds us that even the strongest voices can crack under pressure. But there's also strength in vulnerability, in speaking up, and in seeking help. Which story moved you the most? Were you surprised by any of the names on this list? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let's have a real conversation about mental health in the music industry. If you found this video meaningful, please hit the like button, share it with fellow music lovers, and subscribe to TV Iconic Moments for more powerful stories that matter. Your support helps us keep these voices heard.